Welcome, scholars, back to Read Aloud, the one and only Ivan. Today we're going to read part 10 of the one and only Ivan. But before we get started, I'm going to go over revised understanding because we're really going to use this today in our focus question. The what, how, and why. What we need to do is collect evidence about the characters and evaluate our understanding. Then we need to ask ourselves, why would the character act this way? Does this match what I already know, or am I learning something new about this character? Why we need to do this is to gain a better understanding of the lesson of the text. Today, we're going to do our big idea and text evidence, but on your own, you're going to do your focus question using all parts of race. Don't forget to set your paper up just like this with this word race and the boxes underneath so you can check off as you go and respond to your focus question. Our big idea for today is Ruby talks about how she fell into a hole and she thought that she was going to die, but humans rescued her and brought her back to her family. So we're going to find that text evidence that talks about how the humans helped Ruby. Then for your focus question, you're going to answer how does this chapter change our understanding of humans? We already know in the very beginning that the animals don't like the humans, but there might be some changes in our understanding of the humans after we figure out how they helped Ruby. Now let's turn to page 97 and we're going to start reading until we find some text evidence to support our big idea. Once I asked Stella if she had any babies. She shook her head. I never had the opportunity. You could have made a great mother, I told her. Thank you, Ivan, Stella said, clearly pleased. I think so. Having young ones is a big responsibility. You have to teach them how to take mud baths, of course, and emphasize the importance of fiber in their diet. She looked away, contemplating. Elephants are excellent at contemplating. I think the hardest part of being a parent, Stella added after a while, would be keeping your baby safe from harm, protecting them. The way silverbacks do in the jungle, I said. Exactly, Stella nodded. You would have been good at protecting too, I said confidently. I'm not so sure, Stella said, gazing into the iron bar surrounding her. I'm not sure at all. Mac and George are chatting while George cleans one of my windows. George, Mac says, frowning, there's something wrong with the parking lot. George sighs. I'll take a look at it as soon as I'm done with this window. What's the problem? There are cars in it. That's what's wrong. Cars? George! Mac breaks into grin. I think things are actually starting to pick up a bit. It's gotta be the billboard. People see that baby elephant and they just have to stop and spend their hard earned cash. I hope so, George says. We could sure use the business. Mac's right. I have noticed more visitors coming in, and he and George added the picture of baby Ruby to the sign. People crowd and Ruby People crowd around Ruby and Stella's domain, oohing and eyeing at the sight of such a tiny elephant. I gaze out at the huge sign that makes humans stop and spend their hard-earned cash. I have to admit that the picture of Ruby is rather cute, even if she doesn't look like a real elephant. I wonder if Matt could add a little red hat and a curly tail to a picture of me. Maybe even more visitors will stop by my domain. I could use a few oohs and ahs myself. We're going to think about how this chapter understand changing our understanding of the conflict. I'm thinking that in the beginning of the story, the Big Top Mall was getting a lot of attraction from Ivan, and now Ivan wasn't getting much attraction. Now that they have the baby elephant, I think that Mac and George's plan to put the baby elephant up on the billboard is working for them. There are lots of cars in the parking lot, and they're coming to see such a tiny elephant. Let's keep reading. Ruby's story. Ivan, tell me another joke, please. Ruby begs after the 2 o'clock show. I think I may have ran out of jokes, I admit. A story then, Ruby says. Aunt Stella's sleeping and there's nothing to do. I tap my chin, trying hard to think. But when I gaze up at the food court skylight, I'm mesmerized by the elephant-colored clouds galloping past. Ruby taps her foot impatiently. I know. I'll tell you a story, she says. A real, live, true one. Good idea, I say. What's it about? It's about me, Ruby lowers her voice. It's about me and how I fell into a hole. A big hole. Humans dug it. Bob pricks his ears and joins me by the window. I also enjoy a good digging story, he says. It's a hole full of water near a village, Ruby says. I don't know why humans made it. Sometimes you just need to dig for the sake of digging, Bob reflects. We were looking for food, Ruby says. My family and I. But I wandered off and got lost and went too close to the village. Ruby looks at me wide eyed. I was so scared when I fell in that hole. I found my first piece of evidence that talks about Ruby falling into the hole. So I'm going to make sure that I write that page number. My first piece of evidence comes from page 102. 102. I wandered off and got lost. Make sure you're writing as I'm writing. I wandered off and got lost. And went too close to the village. Then the second part is, I was so scared when I fell into that hole. Don't forget your quotation marks. There's my first piece of evidence. Let's see if we can find more. Of course you were, I say. I would have been scared too. Me too, Bob admits. And I like holes. The hole was very huge. Ruby pokes her trunk between the bars and makes circles around in the air. And guess what? She doesn't wait for an answer. The water was all the way up to my neck. I was sure I was going to die. I shudder. What happened then? I ask. I'll tell you what happened, Bob says darkly. They captured her and put her in a box and shipped her off here. And here she is. Just like they did with Stella, he pauses to scratch an ear. Humans, rats have bigger hearts. Roaches have kinder souls. Flies have. No, Bob, Ruby interrupts. You're wrong. These humans helped me. I found my next piece of evidence. I'm going to add that part to it. Page 103. Ruby said, quotation marks, humans helped me. In quotation marks. Let's see if we can find one more piece of evidence on the same page. Humans helped me. When they saw I was trapped, they grabbed ropes and they made loops around my neck and my tummy. The whole entire village helped, even the little kids and grandmas and grandpas, and they all pulled and pulled and... Ruby stops. Her lashes are wet, and I know she must be remembering all the terrible feelings from that day. And they saved me, she finished in a whisper. I'm going to add that piece too. Because in our big idea, it talks about how they saved her. So I'm going to put page 103 and my quotation marks. And I'm putting the words that Ruby said. They saved me. She finishes in a whisper. Bob blinks. They saved you, he repeats. When I was finally out, everyone cheered. Ruby says, and the children fed me fruit, and then all those humans led me back to my family. It took the whole day to find them. No way, Bob says, still doubtful. It's true, Ruby says. Every word. Of course it's true, I say. I've heard some rescue stories like that before. It's Stella's voice. She sounds weary. Slowly, she makes her way over to Ruby. Humans can surprise her sometimes. An unpredictable species. Homo sapiens. Bob looks still unconvinced. But Ruby's here now, he points out. If humans are so swell, who did that to her? I send Bob a grumpy look. Sometimes he doesn't know when to keep quiet. Ruby swallows. I'm afraid she's gonna cry. But when she speaks, her voice is strong. Bad humans killed my family, and bad humans sent me here. But that day, In the whole, it was humans who saved me. Ruby leans her head on Stella's shoulder. Those humans are good. It doesn't make any sense, Bob says. I just don't understand them. I never will. You're not alone, I say, and I turn my gaze back to the racing gray clouds. So I'm noticing that in the very beginning, we know that the animals don't like the humans because they kill their families. But we know that it helped some of the humans help Stella. So I've guided you a little bit to your race response question. How does this chapter change your understanding of humans? So think about what the animals thought before and what do they think now. And then you're going to answer using race. You're going to restate, answer the question, cite text evidence, and explain your thinking. I can't wait to see your work.